So there we go, 3, 2, and 1. Well, Jami, welcome back to Mayor's Monday here at WSAU, WSAU.com. Since the last time we've spoken, Schofield Avenue is in somewhat better shape, but it is still an absolute headache. So how are we coming on this project?
Yes. So Schofield Avenue is ahead of schedule. So we are estimating to be completed around Halloween, so the end of October.
Mm-hmm.
They have the curb and gutter work getting completed this week, and hopefully we'll be getting to the repavement. But yes, we are ahead of schedule on the Schofield Avenue project.
That's not something that you get to hear real often with construction projects and things like that. So that's something that I'm sure residents are very happy about, because again, this has been going on for a few months now.
Yes, yeah, and we do have two other big construction projects happening this year. One is Fuller Street. That one is also scheduled to be completed around the end of October, or around Halloween. On that project, one of the big events that we have coming up is that we do our fall cleanup events. We do electronic recycling, a shred event, and we do a bulk item drop-off. And that bulk item drop-off is along Fuller Street. So also just an opportunity to let individuals know if they're going to be participating in that bulk item drop-off. We don't expect the road to be done beforehand, but we just would ask everyone to enter off of Schofield Avenue. So if you by chance would live, in that northern portion off of Ross, if you can come down maybe Mesker and enter the waste management's site from Schofield Avenue.
Sure.
And then the last project is Weston Avenue. This is the last year of that third year. That project is a little behind schedule. We hit some rock in that project, so we are hoping to complete mid-November.
Yeah, and as far as the rest of those projects go, I mean, that's kind of the whole gamut of them for this year, right?
Yeah, we have some overlays going on. We have some pavement replacement that's happening, but those were the big three: reconstruction.
Yeah, so at least one of them ahead of schedule. You can never really know until you've kind of broken down and gotten into there what you're going to find. So that's good news for everybody, though, that Schofield Avenue, the big one, is going to be done here soon, and we'll have a nice surface to drive on going forward.
Yeah.
So as far as Kennedy Park goes, I know that project's been talked about quite a bit. How are you coming there for funding and work in that area?
Yes, so Kennedy Park has the two fields under construction. The turf was just laid on those two fields this past week. We're working on finishing up the dugouts and the retaining walls and the backstops. And the lights, the concrete bases and the lights are going up. We do have the funding for the lights on the first field to be built, or field number 5. Field number 4 is wired for the lights, but we still need to raise some funds for that field to be lit. So the Friends of Kennedy Park, their next big fundraiser, which will be a glow tournament in February, will be to raise funds to light that second field to be built, or field number 4. But that project's going along nicely. We're hoping that everything is wrapped up and the rest of the outfield grass is planted for late October also. So trying to get things wrapped up before the snow comes.
Yeah, exactly. And that's part of a much larger project there at Kennedy Park. I know the kind of the Cloverleaf Ball Diamond Complex is one part of that. What do you have going on for the rest of that project right now?
Yes.
Or the rest of the park?
So for the rest of the master plan, we will continue to construct as funds become available. The Friends group does have a $30,000 commitment towards the lights on that second field to be constructed, and then they have that fundraiser. And then again, just as funds become available is when the rest of that park will be expanded. Another conversation, though, that we're having here at the village is about the farmers market. So the corner where the farmers market is held on Camp Phillips and Schofield Avenue, that isn't owned by the village, it's owned by the developer. And they have an opportunity to sell that corner for the development of a standalone Dunkin' Donuts and Baskin Robbins. And so they've put forward to the village a general development plan, which outlines what that building would look like and where it would be situated on that property. So we're having conversations about what that would mean for the farmers market in 2026 if all development would occur as discussed or as being planned. So we have talked about Kennedy Park as a potential option. That'll be discussed again at the board on October 20th. But in the soccer field, or sometimes it's called the rugby field, there on the corner, it's just a nice green space that would allow for the vendors to set up in that area. The only minor adjustment we would have to do is run a little bit of temporary electrical to that site for the food trucks.
Yeah, so, and this is something that you're looking forward to. I know, obviously, development, getting, extra tax money on the rolls is always a good thing for the village, but when you're losing an asset like this, or you have to have these conversations, that's not always the best thing, right?
Right, it's a balance, right? We don't own the property. Of course, the development is nice, but we really like the farmers market too, right? And
Indeed,
it's a strong corner for the farmers market to be on. But I do think we have some other potential options. Like I said, we'll be discussing it with the board. If not Kennedy Park, where else? This is our 20th season for the farmers market, and it has a strong following. We want to keep it strong and maintain it here in the community, and we'll make that work. We will make that work. So the farmers market still will continue in its location where it is right now through October. Tuesday, October 28th is the last day of the season. So nothing changes
for the rest of this year.
For the rest of the season.
Of this year, anyway. What has the reaction been from the vendors? I mean, would they prefer Kennedy Park, or are they okay with Kennedy Park? How have those discussions gone?
Good. Kennedy Park is of interest, obviously, because it's in a community center. It's in a center of a neighborhood. We think it would achieve some walkability for people to get there. And also because there's a natural flow to Kennedy Park with things that are already happening there. I think there's the ability to maybe expose it to some people that are both in town and out of town that may not otherwise have that in their natural driving area or their natural schedule of things to visit. So there is some excitement to try something new, for sure.
And as far as the village budget goes, of course, everybody's looking at those numbers this time of year and having eyes gloss over however it is they handle math these days. But what are things looking like on Weston's end? Because I know that's something that's been a pretty big discussion in the community, is what does the village budget look like, and how do you kind of bring those numbers into balance?
Yes. So we are in discussion through what we call budget workshop meetings for the budget for 2026. We've had 3. We have another one coming up on October 6th. We do have a nice feature on our website this year that has a separate link right on the homepage to all of the presentations and the video links from those meetings. So in case you can't attend in person or you'd like to view them at your leisure, they're right there conveniently located by date. So 2 big discussions that we've been having through our budget this year are a potential fire fee. We do have some language being reviewed by the attorney for an ordinance if that was to proceed for next year, and that will come forward for on that October 6th meeting, provided that the attorney is ready to review that language with the board. The other item that's been of some discussion is our refuge and recycling special charge. So we did put out an RFP this year for a hauler for our refuge and recycling, and we'll be making a transition to Harder's, Fox Valley, to their company as of January 1 for 2026. So we will be getting new containers for all residents, and the old containers will be getting picked up, but that will mean an adjustment in that special charge that we have annually on the tax bill.
Yeah, so what, at least at this point, what are those numbers looking like right now?
Yep, so for the prior 7 years, it's been 167 annually. We're looking at someplace between 200 and 210 for next year. The board discussed around 205 at the last meeting, but they're going to continue that discussion at the next budget workshop meeting. So it's just kind of a balance, because not only refuge and recycling, not only the actual collection comes out of that fee, but also our spring and fall leaf and brush pickup comes out of that, and the running of our Ryan Street site, which allows 24/7 drop off and has some other amenities for residents. So we just are working that all into the calculation, but we're hoping to present a somewhat final budget for the October 20th meeting to put out our public hearing notice, and then in November would be budget adoption.
And then, of course, as you mentioned, the fire fee, that was a big discussion a few months ago. Just kind of update us where we are on that, because I understand you kind of put that in a holding pattern after those discussions in August.
Yep. So we are waiting the Safer District applied for a federal Safer grant, although the names are the same, just two different things, just coincidental.
Right.
So we are waiting to hear if we received the Safer grant. That would provide us up to 65% of the funding to add 9 additional staff to the Safer District, to the department. So we're waiting to hear about that grant, and then we're having a conversation with the municipal attorney about if the ordinance could include implementing the fee for a portion of the fire cost. Again, the fire fee can only be for the cost of fire service. It can't be for EMS service. So talking about that, talking about what that reduction in levy would be, we know it's around $121,000. And then if within the ordinance, if we could put a limit on the annual increase to the fee. So those are the items that are being brought, but right now we are waiting to hear if we got the grant.
Yes. So then, do you know how that's going to impact the budget going forward? Because obviously, taking money off the levy means not money to spend elsewhere, right?
Yes. So if you implement the fee, then you have to remove it from the levy because you're not taxing for it. You're having the fee for it. So at this moment, Safer Board, our Safer District Board, has put forth 3 options. One would be the status quo. One would be if they brought on 3 staff, and then one would be bringing on the 9 with the grant. And so the board hasn't made a final decision. That board makes a decision and presents it to the 2 municipalities, which would be us and the village of Rib Mountain.
Sure.
So at this moment in our budget, we are including the 9 staff within our preliminary numbers and waiting to hear what we receive for the grant.
Yes, and all of that you have to keep straight while working on the budget and working on what streets are going to get worked on next year and things like that. So all of this stuff up in the air right now.
It all gets kind of jam-packed into a couple months, but we make it through.
Yes.
We make it through.
So, of course, the last question that everybody really wants to know then, what does this do to the mill rate? Do you have any idea yet, or are those numbers still being crunched?
So at our last meeting, we had talked about with some changes within our TIF districts. We're actually looking at a reduction in the mill rate. So that reduction is preliminary now, but we are looking at a reduction in the mill rate. I don't want to give a number just because we have a lot that's up in the air at this moment, but that's what likely will happen is a reduction.
Yeah, that's good news for everybody.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Last thing before we let you go, because again, it is almost October. Trick-or-treating is coming up in just a matter of weeks. What have you decided for the village this year?
Yes, so it will be on Halloween, so Friday, October 31st, kind of exciting, it's on a Friday, from 4 to 7 p.m.
And with any luck at all, it is going to be regular trick-or-treating, and it will not be the blizzard of 1991, which for people of a certain age always gets brought up this time of year.
Yes, yeah, and if it would, it is before, but we also have the Mountain Bay Monster Bash that'll happen on October 10th. That's at the DC Everest Middle School, which is another opportunity from 5 to 8. Lots of games, prizes, bounce houses, and of course candy.
Exactly. Well, Jami, we always appreciate the time. We'll look forward to chatting again in the future.
Thank you.